Welcome to our very first episode on Phoenix Radio, brought to you by Giovannino Navarra & Co, S&J Couture Candles, Balmain, as well as Visy Dior Hotels. My name is Celeste Murace and I'm your co-host, and I'm here with Mr. Giovannino Navarra.
Hello Celeste, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Thank you for coming and helping me do this radio show, and I wouldn't have anyone else but you, Celeste. You're amazing.
Thank you, good to know. So tell me, why Phoenix Radio? How has this been brought about?
Well, Phoenix Radio, it's always something I wanted to do for a very long time. Radio, I've been trying to get my radio station started for the last 10, 11 years, but I've been so busy. So the name Phoenix Radio is my way of coming back into the hospitality industry after being dormant for the last 2 years, and my rite of passage to be more informative of what I see and what collectively everybody sees in the actual hospitality industry and moving forward, and discovering new trends of doing better work so we can improve the hospitality industry.
Amazing. So Phoenix Radio is going to be all about events and wedding and planning and all about the hospitality industry. And
personal insight into the wedding market of today, young brides of today, what they like, what they're discovering, how things have moved in the last 3 years, even in the hospitality and in the videography, photography industry as an example, how people now are moving away from photography and they rather have social media influencers. That's just one idea. How people are moving away from plated food, they're going into platters. There's so much into it. I don't want to give too much away, but it is an exciting time in the hospitality industry. Yeah,
it really is. And you recently went into the hotel industry in Norwest.
Yes, so I've had the privilege of come across this wonderful, beautiful hotel. It is tired, but it is a landmark. It's called the Visy Hotel Ridges in Norwest. It's a 132-room hotel. It's built on 22,000 square metres of land, has a very large car park, a very large swimming pool. There's a gazebo area, a park area, a lot of greenery. There's a really nice entrance to it. If people just go to our website to see the Visy Hotel Ridges in Norwest, we'll be able to see a photograph montage of how beautiful the place is. However, we are developing a new website and we're uploading new photographs, and we want people to actually follow us on social media for Visy on all 5 different platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I'm missing one. I can't think of the other one.
Twitter?
Sorry?
Twitter?
No, not Twitter.
Did you say Twitter?
Don't tell Elon Musk, but I'm not really into Twitter. We'll think of it anyway. But just look on our social media platforms, and you can always Google it, and hope people like our content we're putting in.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important, pieces of the hotel which you didn't actually say is the event spaces. And what type of event spaces do you have available?
Well, we have altogether about 5 different rooms, but three of the function rooms can be connected together, which can hold up to about 420 guests with a large dance floor. It would be perfect for a lot of corporate events, especially weddings, that people do have a larger amount of people, and the kitchen's been designed that we can actually serve a 4-course menu, plated 4-course menu, including extra platters on tables, large dance floor, and we can cater for an international cuisine.
Oh, amazing. So Visy Dior is located in Norwest of Sydney. How do you see that change in the landscape of the weddings in Northwest Sydney?
It's not about changing the landscape in Norwest. It's just another participant to overall Sydney, the great city of Sydney, to what we can actually do. I believe that today, brides of today have a smorgasbord of different areas to have your functions. You have Barrel, which have Navarra Estate, which my brother and sister own, Navarra Estate Event Centre. Then there's Le Montage, which is on the city fringe of on the water of Iron Cove Bay. You have the Castle, which is Curzon Hall, which is a castle built in, I believe it's in the top right area, which is a lovely, beautiful estate. And then you have Oatlands House, which is in North Parramatta, which is Oatlands Estate. Again, it replicates a destination venue, but it's if people don't want to pay for the accommodation and that goes along with that, people love to have their functions there. Then you just go back to the essence of what events are all about. It's just about great food, great service, and great organisation, which is the Conqueror Lounge Event Centre in Riverwood. I honestly still is the best event centre, and people still love going there.
Yeah. Well,
So, to finish what I was saying with the Norwest, so I'm actually wanting to replicate what Conqueror is, which I'm going back to, we already always have, but I want to elevate the level of organisation, great food, great hospitality, and great service. That's what we want at Norwest.
and the added bonus that the guests could stay overnight in the hotel.
Yeah, well, that is a benefit. There are people that have a lot of international guests that come in, or interstate guests, and you actually have everything in one building over there. Now, it's where strategically it is allocated. Sydney is so great now with all the new highways. It's literally 25 minutes from anywhere. So if you go to Sydney CBD, it takes me 23 minutes with traffic 33.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
It's a great location.
It is.
It's a great location. It's a great place.
The place is a little bit tight at the moment. I've just taken over. This is my 11th week in the venue, and I'm working with interior designer Karen Wallace, which I've used many times before. She just understands what a wedding venue is to look like. At the same time, it's great. She's great for corporates and just basically casual events. She's just redesigning everything. We're doing a blueprint. We have actually changed the carpet. I'm actually working with other different designers, different architects with the aesthetics of it. To improve it, we are extending the room that fits 420 guests to extend to about 960 guests, but we're going to have a lot of operable walls so we can do multiple events. And these events today, Celeste, are more like breakout rooms. Now people are, it's very creative, the events now. People like to have a separate room where they want to have their, say, antipasto boards where people can come in and soiree around these antipasto boards, and then go into another room where they can enjoy maybe just subtle cocktails, then move into event space. And then there's a lot of people out there just would like to have just a grand ballroom and have it presented the way they want to. And then we just serve the traditional 4-course menus. Now, with a lot of ethnic weddings, we do 4-course menu opposed to 3-course menus, because we're going to die if we don't feel we don't have enough food. I don't want to get shot.
And with the food, actually, do you tend to cater to all types of cuisines? Because Northwest Sydney is obviously a very diverse area. A lot of different cultures, different backgrounds. Do you believe that the hotel could actually cater for all those different cultures and nationalities?
Well, interesting you say that. When you say catering for different areas, when you fall in love, you fall in love. So you might have someone that might live in Cronulla, and you might live in Norwest, or there's somebody who might live in Liverpool, but their partner they live in Sydney, so Sydney CBD. At the end of the day, you might say, hey, where do we go to a mutual place where all our guests can come to quite easily? Norwest. It's Sydney in general. We're a multicultural society, so people now are prone to try different foods. Indian, Sri Lankan, Italian, Greek, Mediterranean, Aramaic, Arab type of different types of food, and then you have the religious type of food. You have a lot of kosher. You have a lot of halal. So that's what we're here for, to actually cater for the guest needs and their requirements, and and to expand our knowledge and be accepting what the different flavours are. And we've actually, I believe, we've gone through the first hurdle of people not seeing it, not understanding it. But when you have me, Giovannino Navarra, with my catering group there to present good quality food, they can feel confident that the guests will enjoy the food that's been presented to them, or at least they can at least try it.
They can try.
And it ends up being an exciting experience, because weddings are about excitement, trying something new.
Exactly.
It's not about just going out there eating food that you can eat at home. You want to go out there and try something different. And for people that are allergic out there that just can't try it, then we'll have a separate menu designed for that particular person.
So what inspires your menu?
What inspires my menu? I actually look at a plate, and I often visualise. I've always done this, different ways of presenting it. I've always been interested in different cuts of food. I remember years ago, Celeste, for instance, in the days of Conqueror, we used to always serve, was a chicken roast, a chicken rolled roast filled with spinach, or it was actually served with a Maryland piece of chicken or a chicken leg. That was the food, and that food was served back then. It tasted nice, but really had no creative aspect to it. However, funny enough, that food is coming back for buffets, which is interesting. However, then we started looking at things like spatchcock, which no one had done at the time. So I remember speaking to proprietors how to get a piece of chicken, put on a plate and serve it in such a way that people wouldn't be freaked out by it. Because you have a lot of young girls and young people that they think it's quail, which, spatchcock's not quail, it's just a baby chicken. But it tastes so much nicer, especially when it's cooked on the bone. It's easy to eat. We started using chicken breast fillet with the wing on, which again gave that extra special peel. But then we actually started cutting the breast fillets in half and filling up with whatever flavour they like. I personally like to do a bit of brie and parmigiano and spinach on the inside. Same with different cuts of meat. My brother came along with the veal cutlet, which we thought, wow, veal cutlet. But he actually got that piece of meat and he elevated to next level. Scotch fillet, which is something that was not used. Scotch fillet back then was known more as a barbecue type of meat. We actually incorporated it into our menu. And then we have some of the traditional dishes, the veal involtini, and then what else did we get into? And the typical scallopini, saltimbocca, all those different type of food. So we used to always play with traditional versus the new cuts of meat and try and incorporate those flavours.
Yeah, and you work with your chefs and come up with ideal menus for...
With the chefs themselves, there's chefs and there's cooks.
Yeah.
I find the difference between the both. Both can cook incredibly well. It's based on what they've been educated. You find a chef will always look creatively outside the square, as myself, and think of new ways of presenting it and working around the logistics of doing it. Or a cook, you actually just tell them, you show them how to do it once or twice, and they just replicate it from then on.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the both. Sometimes the benefits are with a cook is, you have always a guaranteed product every single time because it's a proven method. How with chefs, sometimes they can become a little bit too creative, and sometimes you have to say, hey, you really want to risk it? Or you'll say something, a bit of reverse psychology. You might say, if this was your sister's wedding, would you serve what you're doing tonight? Would you take the risk tonight?
Yeah.
Why don't we try it first? Why don't we trial it? When you're cooking for 2, 3 people, 4 people in a restaurant, and you're cooking for hundreds of people, it's a totally different totally different composition of cooking. One's just done more. It's more cooked in a fry pan, baked off. Where functions, we bake everything, we seal it, and we bake it off. You're laughing. Am I rambling too much again?
I was actually about to ask you, what's the difference between restaurant food and food that you serve at a wedding or an event?
It's actually, would you believe event food is far more healthier versus restaurant food? Because restaurant food, you have a lot of harsh cookery aspects to it. I'm not saying all dishes, but majority is, because you're frying it, you're cooking it, and it's actually cooking a lot of oils. Where events food, it's actually been sealed, mostly on a flat plate or a char grill, marinated, and then placed in the oven. So a lot of the food's actually cooked in its own juices. That's the difference between events food. So you find it's a lot more healthier. Even a lot of the jus that we make, the jus, we actually buy the bones, we grill them, we bake them, we roast them, and then that's the process to it. I know it sounds the same, but it's not. And then we add the water and we make a nice creative stock. We let it cook for about 3-4 days, and then we make the reduction, and that's the basis for all the different types of sauces.
So interesting.
For the which dishes, and again, it's very, very healthy stuff.
Yeah.
Jus has it's very low in fat. It's very healthy, and the body consumes it very well.
Yeah, because I've always kind of wondered when I go to weddings and stuff, like, how is all the food coming out at one time when there's like 300, 400, 500 people at a wedding?
Well, what we do, we normally have these massive ovens, so everything's, again, being prepared during the week. The protein itself, the meat itself, and the vegetables are done at the very, very last minute. So on the particular day, in a controlled environment. Then from there, I like to sit down with the chefs when they're doing their meeting, how to organise the menu that particular day, and I like to listen to what they're saying. If I'm happy with it, I won't say anything. I'll often walk away. If I feel that there's something else they could add to it, I'll mention something to them, and I like to observe them in the process. I want the food to be seasoned and sealed at the very last minute, close to the function as possible, often within a couple of hours, depending on the actual type of food that we're actually serving that particular night, and same with the vegetables themselves. So it's sealed, seasoned, then placed in the oven, and then we actually just sauce it, and then we actually just serve it to the guests at the night.
Okay, fantastic. You also answered my next question, which was going to be...
Okay, let's leave that in. And your last question?
My last question was going to be, like, how do you get it from... Like, how do you start it at this big, like, preparation to actually getting it on the table on time?
From there, it's taken out of the ovens. Depends. If it's a cold entree, it's taken out of the cool rooms. We unwrap it. It's all plated, and the wait staff are all lined up, and we actually just serve very quickly. I'm adamant about all my wait staff have to carry a full plate minimum per person.
4 plates.
And I've actually introduced in Visy Dior Hotel the Navarra stand of actually wearing white gloves, because I don't like people actually with their fingerprints all over the actual plates themselves. And then for the same with the main course, it's taken out of these big ovens, placed on a trolley, brought to the execution area, and from there the wait staff, you have a team of people just putting one protein, one vegetable, and sourcing at the very last minute, and the wait staff bring it to the guests at the tables.
So 4 plate minimum, that actually sounds super stressful to me, but does anyone ever drop a plate?
No, it does happen, but I prepare, look, if you carry 3 plates, that's a 25% drop in efficiency.
Yeah.
People want to get their food.
Of course.
Especially today now, people want alternate menus. That didn't exist 30 years ago. People want an alternate entree, alternate main course. You can't have people carrying 3s because it slows down the process too much. So people like to eat everything in one go. And I always remind my team, when you're serving a table, especially if you have a special dietary requirement, people should get their food at the exact same time and as quick as possible. I want my entrees out within 11 minutes flat, and I want my main courses out within 19 minutes flat. That's the minimum that I want. It doesn't matter how big the event is, that can be done.
So just in case, like, someone does drop a plate, so if you had like 100 people at a wedding, how many plates would you make?
First of all, if you have 100 people, we actually do cater for an extra 10%.
Okay.
Things can go wrong.
Yeah.
There might be a special dietary requirement. Sometimes can happen that, like you said, the odd plate might be dropped, or something's happened as an accident that's actually happened. You need to be covered, but the remaining food is often just enough to cover for the staff meals. So the wait staff do need to eat at the end of the function, the kitchen staff, so that food goes to them, and whatever's left over from there, a lot of it goes to the actual homeless. The homeless are disadvantaged. We do prepare food for Jewish House and St Vincent's de Paul. Yeah, so they pick up the rest of the food.
That's really good to know.
And we also have a minimum 2 bread rolls per person. That's something I'm very adamant about. I don't know why people do 1 bread roll. I'm Italian. We need bread rolls.
Only 2?
2.
I think you should up it to 3.
Yeah, we do use the sourdoughs and traditional ciabatta bread and so forth. So I like to have a nice big basket of bread on every table. So we should never run out of bread at any function, because it's bread. You just need that.
You do. Well, I'm talking about bread. It's making me a little bit hungry. So I think that brings us to the end of our show today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this, again, was Phoenix Radio, brought to you by Giovannino J.F. Navarra & Co., as well as S&J Couture Candles in Balmain and Visy Dior Hotels. Thank you for joining us.
And we welcome everybody to come down to Visy Dior, see our site, and we want people to see the transition from the hotel it is now, leading up to a six-star venue very shortly. So thank you. Thank you, Celeste.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.